1962, you met an Aboriginal man in Woolloomooloo. He asked you, where to
And
find
he
the
was
water.
a well educated young man, Abu.
Yep,
He said, I grew up in a tribe, but I went to school.
yep. And,
And we're waiting for them to come back, the majority people.
okay, so he said to you that we've been waiting for 25 generations for the
And I said, what is a generation? 58. Multiply 25 by 50.
Yep, you get 13, 12 and a half, 13, yeah.
Actually, when we went from, when the Arabs beat us and the Jews.
Right. So basically when you're forced out of the Middle East into Europe.
I don't want to talk about very tiring.
Yes, sure.
I give it to you.
Yep.
You're not going to write bullshit.
No.
Because you present the contract in
That's
your
right.
book.
That's right. Exactly.
You understand that?
I totally understand. But I just find that amazing that you actually, in
And
1962...
I would put it in the front somewhere, not in the very front.
Yeah.
Not nice.
Mm.
Same punch.
I think we start off with some lighter materials to start with before we get into the heavy contracts. But I find that amazing that you meet a man in 1962. I find that amazing, fascinating, that you meet a man in Woolloomooloo in 1962 and you ask him about the Madjari people, and he knew about it, and he says, yes, we've been waiting
And the Hungarians not helping me.
Yep. And he says, we've been waiting for 25 generations for them to come back. That is fascinating. That is So that means 1200 years ago, the Magyar was last here, Attila.
This is from America. They called me to the university to work Los Angeles.
Yep. Okay, it says here, November 7, 1988. Dear Mr. Flink, greetings from California. I have enclosed a note I just received from the Museum of Mankind, London, regarding the possible publication of your research. I hope this is of some help, though it is not quite the answer that I was expecting. How is your project? Please send me a copy when you are finished and I will pursue a possible publication venue. All the best, and please give my regards to the staff at the Mitchell Library. Cheers, Peter. Peter Hoffenberg. Okay, that's November 7, 1988.
Here, look.
Okay. And here is an introduction. In November 1970, I received the following letter encouraging me to investigate the Tasmanian language. Dear Mr. Flink, Dr. C.G. von Brandenstein has written to me and told me, unfortunately, he knows nothing of the Tasmanian situation and it is rather overloaded with other work.
Yes.
Have you considered yourself writing a preliminary account of your work so that it would be looked at by a linguist? Yours sincerely, W.C. Wentworth. Okay? This is dated 4th of November 1970. Minister in charge of Aboriginal Affairs. Okay? Almost 40 years later, I have finally had the opportunity to write this much overdue study. That's what Attila has written. Okay? Okay, here is another letter here. Attila writing to Mr. W.C. Wentworth, Minister in charge of Aboriginal Affairs, Commonwealth Bank Building, Martin Place, Sydney. Dear Mr. Wentworth, Mrs. B. Craig, Research Officer, Bibliography of the Institute of Aboriginal Studies, Canberra, ACT, has written to me on the October 1970 the following. Mr. Wentworth has requested to forward you a list of Tasmanian textual material which we have in our bibliographical files. I have not included vocabulary such as I am sure that you would know of these. Reference to number 65, part 54, part 4. Okay, I've studied the above said materials and I've made a general survey of the same. With an addition of language translation, with an appointment given to me, I would hand the documents over. Would you be kind to arrange this for me? Yours sincerely, Attila Flink. Okay.
I got many of corresponded with the government.
Yep.
Yeah, you think this is all nothing?
Yes. I totally understand, and it's especially in particular. Now, this is a letter from Michael O'Hanlon, curator Oceana Collins, I gather this is what it is. He's writing to Mr. Hoffenberg, that I mentioned before, okay? Peter Hoffenberg, okay? Dear Mr. Hoffenberg, thank you for your letter of September 25th, to which Dr. Durans asked me to reply. I'm afraid that I don't honestly think I can be much help to your colleague. As an anthropologist rather than a linguist, my knowledge of appropriate linguistic journals is rather limited. From what I do know, however, it seems to me that the best place to publish such a paper would be, in fact, be in Australia, where your colleague is. I think that is where the most intensive work on Pacific languages is actually being done. I would suggest that your colleague contacts the journal Pacific Linguistics, Department of Linguistics, School of Pacific Studies, Australian National University, Box 4, Post Office, Canberra, ACT 2600. Yours sincerely, Michael Hanlon. Okay, so that's dated 17th of October 1988. The Museum of Mankind. Okay. The Ethnological Department of the British Museum. Okay. In London. Okay, you can see that here on the letterhead. Bingo.